The room fell silent the moment the billionaire smirked across the polished dining table. Crystal glasses shimmered beneath golden chandeliers, and the finest guests in the city watched with hidden amusement as they waited for another poor man to be embarrassed. The billionaire lifted the expensive wine list, spoke flawless French with exaggerated elegance, and glanced toward the single father standing nearby with the confidence of someone who believed money could measure intelligence. His smile grew wider as laughter quietly spread through the room. But what happened next erased every smile in that hall. The single dad answered him not only in perfect French, but in Italian, Spanish, German, Mandarin, and finally English. Every word flowed naturally, respectfully, and with a quiet dignity that money could never buy. The billionaire's face lost its color, and for the first time in years, the richest man in the room realized he had completely misjudged the poorest. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes kindness always wins, and subscribe to Eco-Verse if you believe that people deserve second chances and should never be judged by their appearance. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to life. Morning sunlight stretched across the city as Rowan Mercer pushed his aging bicycle through the quiet streets toward the luxury hotel where he worked. The bicycle rattled with every turn of the wheel, but Rowan never complained. In the child's seat behind him sat 6-year-old son Alden, happily humming songs while holding his small backpack. Every morning began exactly the same. Rowan dropped Alden at school before starting his long shift as a banquet server at one of the most prestigious hotels in the country. Life had not been kind to Rowan. 5 years earlier, his wife had lost her battle with cancer, leaving him alone to raise their little boy while carrying mountains of debt. Friends slowly disappeared. Relatives offered sympathy but little help. Every dream Rowan once held seemed to disappear beneath unpaid bills and endless overtime shifts. Yet every evening, when Alden wrapped tiny arms around his neck and whispered that his father was his hero, Rowan found enough strength to face another day. Few people at the hotel knew anything about him beyond the worn uniform and humble smile. They assumed he was just another struggling employee trying to survive. No one imagined that the quiet server had once been a respected interpreter for humanitarian organizations, traveling across continents translating conversations that helped save lives during international crises. Years spent working in different countries had taught him several languages, but after his wife's illness forced him home, every professional opportunity vanished. Hospitals, medicines, and funeral expenses consumed everything he had earned. Now, instead of translating peace negotiations, Rowan carried silver trays through luxurious ballrooms where wealthy guests barely noticed he existed. That afternoon the hotel prepared for the annual charity luncheon hosted by one of the nation's most influential billionaires, Alastair Voss. Newspapers admired his business empire, but those who worked beneath him knew another side of the powerful man. He enjoyed proving his superiority whenever cameras were absent. He believed wealth reflected intelligence and that poverty was usually the result of laziness. The ballroom sparkled with fresh flowers and polished marble. Guests wearing designer suits and elegant dresses filled every seat while photographers documented every smile. Rowan carefully served each table with practiced grace, making sure every guest received perfect service. Then Alastair noticed him. Perhaps it was the patched shoes beneath the hotel uniform. Perhaps it was the tired face carrying years of sacrifice. Whatever the reason, Alastair chose Rowan as the day's entertainment. When the wine menu arrived, the billionaire deliberately began speaking rapid French, asking detailed questions about vineyards and vintage years while staring directly at Rowan. Several guests exchanged knowing smiles, assuming the server would stumble through the unfamiliar language. Instead, Rowan answered with effortless French, describing the wine's history and suggesting a pairing that perfectly complemented the afternoon menu. The laughter disappeared. Surprised, Alastair switched immediately into Italian. Rowan answered smoothly, then Spanish. Another perfect response. German followed. Again Rowan replied without hesitation. Finally, Alastair attempted Mandarin. Expecting the miracle to end, Rowan politely completed the conversation with flawless pronunciation before calmly returning to English and recommending another bottle that suited the guests' preferences even better. Silence filled the ballroom. Even the musicians seemed to stop playing. Every eye rested upon the humble server whose quiet confidence had shattered every assumption in the room. instead of admitting respect. Alastair forced a cold smile. Pride refused to surrender. He sarcastically applauded and announced loudly that speaking languages clearly did not pay very well if someone still served tables. A few uncomfortable laughs echoed around the room. Rowan lowered his head slightly, not from shame but from wisdom. He understood that arguing with arrogance only feeds it. He simply thanked the billionaire for the compliment and continued serving the guests with the same professionalism he had shown from the beginning. Yet many people in that room saw something different now. They noticed the dignity that no expensive watch could purchase, they noticed the intelligence hidden beneath an ordinary uniform, most importantly, they noticed the kindness with which Rowan refused to humiliate the man who had tried to humiliate him. Among those watching was Celeste Harrow, director of a global educational foundation. Unlike most guests, she remained after the luncheon and quietly approached Rowan while he stacked empty plates. She asked why someone with extraordinary language skills worked as a banquet server. Rowan smiled gently and simply answered that life sometimes rewrites plans faster than people can rewrite resumes. He briefly shared his wife's illness, his son's needs, and his gratitude for honest work, no matter how humble. Celeste listened without interrupting. Before leaving, she handed Rowan a business card and asked him to visit her office the following morning if he truly wished to change his future. Rowan almost threw the card away. Years of disappointment had taught him not to trust unexpected opportunities, but Alden noticed the elegant card lying on the kitchen table that evening. His little eyes sparkled with hope. He asked his father whether miracles sometimes came disguised as ordinary pieces of paper. Rowan smiled through tired eyes. The next morning he borrowed bus fare from a neighbor and visited the foundation. Celeste welcomed him warmly. She explained that her organization desperately needed multilingual coordinators to oversee educational projects across several countries. They had interviewed dozens of applicants but found very few who possessed not only language skills but genuine compassion for ordinary people. She remembered the way Rowan had treated every guest with equal respect, even the one who insulted him publicly. Technical skills could be taught, character could not. After several conversations and practical assessments, Rowan received an offer that changed everything. The salary exceeded anything he had earned before. Health insurance covered both him and Alden. Flexible hours allowed him to spend evenings with his son. For the first time in years, Rowan walked home carrying hope instead of exhaustion. Months passed, his confidence slowly returned. He coordinated international programs, trained translators, and helped build schools in communities where children had never owned books. Meanwhile, Alden flourished. He proudly told classmates that his father helped children around the world learn. Every night they still shared simple dinners together, laughing over homework and bedtime stories. Money improved their comfort, but gratitude remained the richest part of their home. Then fate arranged another meeting. A global education summit invited business leaders, philanthropists, and non-profit directors from around the world. Celeste asked Rowan to deliver the keynote address describing how language could build bridges between cultures. As guests entered the magnificent conference hall, one familiar face stopped walking. Alastair Voss, the billionaire, stared in disbelief as the same man he had mocked months earlier stepped confidently onto the stage wearing a tailored suit. The audience welcomed Rowan with warm applause. He spoke without notes. He moved naturally between several languages, greeting international delegates personally before returning to English, but his message was not about grammar. It was about humanity. He explained that every language carries words for love, sacrifice, hope, and forgiveness because those values belong to everyone regardless of wealth or nationality. He shared stories of refugee children, struggling parents, generous strangers, and communities transformed through compassion rather than competition. Many listeners wiped tears from their eyes. When the standing ovation finally ended, Rowan noticed Alastair waiting near the stage. For several seconds neither man spoke, then something unexpected happened. The billionaire quietly apologized. He admitted that he had spent decades measuring people by visible success while overlooking invisible strength. Watching Rowan rebuild his life had forced him to question everything he believed about achievement. Rowan accepted the apology without hesitation. Holding on to bitterness would only make him another prisoner of the past. Instead, he thanked Alastair for one surprising gift. The humiliation at the hotel had reminded him never to hide his abilities out of fear. Sometimes the world only discovers hidden light after someone tries to cast a shadow over it. Those words stayed with Alastair long after the conference ended. Over the following year, his charitable foundation quietly shifted its priorities, scholarships expanded for single parents returning to education, interpreter programs received new funding. Hotel staff across his companies began receiving language training and career development opportunities. People noticed the changes but rarely understood what inspired them. One ordinary father had transformed far more than his own future. Years later, Alden graduated from university with honors in international relations. During the ceremony, he looked toward the audience where Rowan proudly applauded. The young man remembered countless mornings on the old bicycle, countless evenings eating inexpensive dinners, and countless moments when his father chose dignity instead of anger. Those memories had become the foundation of his own character. As father and son embraced beneath the bright afternoon sun, Rowan realized true wealth had never been measured by bank accounts, luxury cars, or expensive wine. Real wealth was raising a child who believed kindness mattered. Real wealth was using knowledge to lift others instead of looking down on them. Real wealth was answering cruelty with grace until even hardened hearts found the courage to change. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Ecoverse. Your support allows us to continue sharing stories that remind the world compassion is stronger than pride. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness speaks every language." If you believe a person's character is worth far more than their appearance or their wealth. The old bicycle no longer leaned against Rowan's doorway, and the unpaid bills no longer covered his kitchen table. Yet he never forgot where he had started. Every opportunity he received became another chance to help someone still climbing their own difficult mountain. Because in the end, the billionaire remembered the languages Rowan spoke, but the world remembered something far greater. It remembered the quiet single father who proved that humility can silence arrogance, that kindness can outshine power, and that the richest voice in any language is the one that speaks with compassion.